China leans toward supporting Iran in its conflict with Israel, but it will not save the ayatollahs regime at any cost, said Mykhailo Honchar, president of the Center for Global Studies Strategy XXI, in a comment to RBC-Ukraine. So far, we haven't seen any signs of decisive actions involving the Chinese armed forces. China tries to act quietly and behind the scenes. If there were unusual transport aircraft flights, there is some level of support, but that doesn't mean China will offer open backing to Iran, just as Russia hasn't done either, Honchar said. However, he noted that it's important to understand that over 90% of Iran's oil exports go to China. Essentially, Beijing is largely financing the regime in Tehran. According to the expert, China's primary concern is in economic interests. It is not in Beijing's interest to see oil prices spike or the situation escalate in the Persian Gulf. I believe that behind the scenes, China is working to restrain all the players involved in this scenario of escalation. It seems to me that the Chinese line of behavior, from the political and diplomatic point of view, is aimed at supporting Iran, but it will not save the ayatollahs regime at any cost, Honchar concluded. Israel has been conducting a military operation against Iran's nuclear infrastructure for a week. As part of the confrontation, both sides have been exchanging heavy strikes involving hundreds of missiles and drones. Amid rising tensions around Iran, the United States is considering a military operation against the country, according to Bloomberg. The Wall Street Journal reports that U.S. President Donald Trump has already approved a plan for a potential strike, but has currently postponed its execution to assess Tehran's further steps. At the same time, The Guardian notes that Trump is uncertain about the immediate intervention, as he is not confident that American weapons could guarantee the destruction of the nuclear facility in Fordo. The White House has stated that a final decision on possible U.S. involvement in the conflict between Israel and Iran is expected within 2 weeks. Meanwhile, Israel is preparing to escalate strikes against Iran in an effort to destabilize the regime. The corresponding order was given by Defense Minister Israel Katz to the Israeli Defense Forces. Additionally, Israel is not ruling out the possible assassination of Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei. We generally don't touch residents of Moscow, but let them spend the night in the metro. We don't sleep. Journalist Irina Uzlova voiced a proposal that came from many viewers of Channel 24, addressing it to Ukrainian expert, journalist Roman Cymbalyuk. In response, the blogger said, "I have 2 answers. The first answer is short. It's time. The second answer, it's a question of tools. There is a lot of talk now about the fact that we have finally begun to implement our missile program. No one has officially presented it, but no one has denied it either. That is, there is logic in this, that we have a certain number of these ballistic missiles. The only question is how many. It is clear that this is a military secret, but I am interested in only one point. We must have as many of these missiles as we launch drones, and then the situation will change." The Ukrainian journalist expressed his opinion. Ultimately, it all comes down to tools. Today, it is clear that after crazy nights with a colossal number of victims, we want Russian blood. This is absolutely clear. I would direct this energy, you know where, to the Ministry of Defense, asking one question: where are the missiles, our dear friends? And do not say that there is no money. There is a rule that if money is needed, it will always appear. Plus, there are many states that believe that Russian Nazis should be punished for their war crimes. Roman Cymbalyuk revealed the essence of the problem and proposed a solution. In Moscow, it is believed that Solovyov's program is the Kremlin's main propaganda agitation. It is believed that Putin watches this program from his bunker, and, as you have noticed, some strange notes have begun to sound here. They have lost their optimism. I have been watching these people for quite a long time. I know some of them personally, and so, let's say, they have not been in such a state of very sad faces for a long time. The journalist said, not without irony. At the same time, Roman Cymbaluk noted, "Why does the man have such a sad face? You understand what I'm talking about now. The thing is that now in the swamps they have somehow forgotten about Ukraine. They are watching Israeli missiles flying at Iranian ayatollahs, how Iranian generals are being downvoted, and are drawing some strange parallels. It seems that they practically don't need Ukraine anymore. Moreover, they have stopped giggling about Trump's policies. They have somehow become wary. What if he's leading them by the nose, too?"
The Israeli military released video on Friday that it said showed strikes on air defense systems and missiles launchers in Iran. According to Associated Press, the army said in a statement that the Air Force struck 3 ready-to-launch missile launchers aimed at Israeli territory. In a second statement, the military added that the Air Force destroyed Iranian missile systems and radar installations in the areas of Isfahan and Tehran, which were intended to target IDF aircraft and disrupt their operations. A week of Israeli strikes on Iran have killed at least 657 people and wounded 2,037 others, a human rights group said Friday. The Washington-based group Human Rights Activists offered the figures, which covers the entirety of Iran. It said of those dead, it identified 263 civilians and 164 security force personnel being killed. Human rights activists, which also provided detailed casualty figures during the 2022 protests over the death of Mahsa Amini, cross-checks local reports in the Islamic Republic against a network of sources it has developed in the country. Iran has not been offering regular death tolls during the conflict and has minimized casualties in the past. Its last update, issued Monday, put the death toll at 224 people being killed and 1,277 others being wounded. An Iranian missile hit a high-rise building and several other residential buildings in at least 2 sites near Tel Aviv early Thursday. According to Associated Press, another missile slammed into the main hospital in southern Israel, wounding people and causing extensive damage, according to the medical facility. Israeli media aired footage of blown-out windows and heavy black smoke. At least 40 people were wounded in the attacks, according to Israel's Magen David Adom Rescue Service. Israel, meanwhile, carried out strikes on Iran's Arak heavy water reactor, in its latest attack on the country's sprawling nuclear program, on the 7th day of a conflict that began with a surprise wave of Israeli airstrikes targeting military sites, senior officers and nuclear scientists. Iran has fired hundreds of missiles and drones at Israel, though most have been shot down by Israel's multi-tiered air defenses, which detect incoming fire and shoot down missiles heading toward population centers and critical infrastructure. Israeli officials acknowledge it is imperfect.